Hello everyone, thank you very much for clicking on this video. This should be our last and final video in setting up SD-WAN in vEdge on Google Cloud. So on the previous videos we created the VM in Google Cloud, we got vEdge partly set up, we got our smart account set up, and now we are actually going to work and set up the SD-WAN lab. So if you haven't already, you want to go ahead and import the lab into your vEdge instance. So to do that, you go up here to import, and then you would select either from the IOL folder, whether you're using IOL images for the underlay, or the viral folder, and then you would click on the zip file right here. So once you double click, open, and then you would upload, and then the lab would appear here. So now to open it, you just click open, and now we are ready to begin. So the first thing we're going to do is configure some things on the Linux Docker container. In this topology, it's the Linux-server or underscore server. I'm going to double click on it and going to download the RDP connection to it. And click on it, hit connect, and it's going to connect to the Linux Docker container. So I'm going to drag it up here and snap it to the top and hit OK. The first thing we're going to do with the Linux Docker container, now that our IP addressing is automatically set up, is we are going to change some SSH configuration, similar to what we did in the Google Cloud VM. But now what we're going to do is also permit root login so we can download the certificate off the server right here to the cEdge, which will be done later on in the video. So to do that, you have to go to Applications, System Tools, Meet Terminal. You can either do it that way or hit Control-T on the keyboard. And you want to type in pluma/etc/ssh/sshd_config. And it's going to bring up a graphical text editor in which we will similarly also take out the # from root login. So right here, so permit root login. You want to delete the #, hit Control-S to save, and then close this out. So right now we are pretty good done with the configuration with the Docker container. And now we are actually going to move on and configure the vManage, vSmart, and vBond devices. So you can go ahead and either close this or minimize this. Just going to move this out to the side. And now what you need to do is make sure all your devices are on. So select them all, and then right click and hit Start Selected. And I'm going to double click on the vManage to begin configuration with the vManage. I'm going to hit enter. The default password, username and password are admin, all lowercase. It wants us to set an initial password. And then it wants us to install to a virtual hard disk. So if you remember earlier in the series, we created a virtual hard disk known as HDB. I'm going to select that by tapping number 1, hitting enter, Y to format the HDB drive. And then it's going to go ahead and format the drive, and then it's going to restart, and it's going to make us log back in. So I'll resume once we get to the login prompt. All right, so now we are at the login prompt. So where it says vManage login, you want to type in your username. In this case, it's admin, and I set the same password. So if you get system is initializing, please wait to log in. Give it a few moments to go ahead and initialize. This usually takes anywhere from like 30 seconds to a minute. And then it'll say system is ready. I'll resume once that pops up. All right, so it says system ready. So now we can go ahead and log in again. And then it will go ahead and say, welcome to the Viptela CLI, and it says vManage, then #. And now what we are going to do is paste our skinny configuration in. So I'm actually going to walk you through and show you what parts you need to change and modify. And I'll go ahead and move this over to the side a bit. And I'm going to bring this back up, or this up. And what you could see is for the vManage, I'll also make sure to include this in a file share, is to configure it, you go to config, and then you go to system sub configuration mode. We are assigning it the hostname of vManage. The system IP is analogous to the BGP router ID, Make sure this is unique whenever you configure it. You can leave it same here if you import the lab, but make sure that this system IP is not the same address of any of the interfaces you are using. That's gonna spit on an error. You have your site ID. I am in site 1. And we are configuring the VPN0, the transport interface, or actually transport address of vBond, which is 1113. So make sure you use the IP address that corresponds to the vBond's VPN0 address. Then we are configuring VPN0. We're using interface ETH0. We are assigning it address of all ones /28, no shutdown, no tunnel interface. Later on, we will enable the tunnel interface. We're pointing a static default route to the border router right here. And then similarly with VPN 512, we have IP address, no shutdown. And this is optional, but I'm just pointing a static route to the Linux server static default route. So make sure, just again, when configuring your organization name, that this matches exactly with what you typed in when setting up the vBond and going through the smart account setup. So when I said remember this, you want to go ahead and replace right here vManage networking with your own organization name. But once we are ready, I'm going to select all of this right here. I'm going to click copy and move this to the side. I'll drag this back in and go ahead and right click and paste the configuration. So if everything goes well, it should say commit complete. And now we are actually ready to move on to configuring the vSmart. So I'm going to push this out to the side again. Once again, I'm going to double click on vSmart, drag it back in. It's going to prompt me with the vSmart login. It's both admin, admin, and lowercase. It wants us to set a password. Just going to use the same password. And it doesn't require us to install anything else. It's just going to prompt us with the vSmart prompt. Similarly, I'm going to show you the skinny config. So I'm configuring the hostname of vSmart. Same thing with unique system IP. I'm using the same site ID, so everything in the controllers and orchestrators. A unique host name, give it the unique system IP, organization name. Remember that your organization name must match on all devices again. Give it same vBond, VPN0 address of the vBond. With VPN0, I assigned interface ETH0, provided this address, no tunnel interface. Very similar config to the vManage. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of this, right click and copy. Then I'm going to paste it all. Should commit and quit, and it says commit complete. So now I am going to go ahead and bring up the vBond. So the same exact credentials, admin, admin. Just going to type in admin again. And as I mentioned before in the previous videos, this is the vEdge. It's using the vEdge image, so don't get thrown off if it says vEdge right here. What I'm going to do now is drag in the skinny config. So one big difference between, the actual IP addressing of the interfaces is that when you configure your vBond, you want to type in on the vBond the address, the VPN0 address of itself, and then you want to type in local so the other devices know that this is the vBond and not a vEdge. So I'm going to go ahead and select all the configuration here. I'm going to copy, I'm going to right click, and it's going to go ahead and configure everything, commit and quit. And the commit is complete. So now what I'm going to do is actually drag this out to the side and head back onto the configuration of the Linux Docker container or Linux server, the name. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to generate the keys and cert. So what I'm going to type in is to generate the CA key. I'm going to copy this, and to paste something you type or you hit Control-Shift-V. And this is the command. I'm going to generate the key and hit enter. And this should be relatively quick. And then we are going to convert the key into a cert. So very important that you hit enter one by one. You don't run through the whole thing, because here's where we're also going to configure our organization name. I'm going to paste this in, hit enter once. I'm going to type in my country code, so US, enter, enter. This is my organization name, so exactly how it's in the how I exactly typed it in the vBond and on the other devices. I'm going to hit enter, and you can go ahead and hit enter for the other ones. And we should see here, if I type ls to list, that I have the CA cert created right here. So now what we're going to do is actually go ahead and copy the CA cert using secure copy protocol to the controllers and orchestrator. So to do that, I'm going to paste this in. So SCP, the file name ca.crt to admin at 192.168.1.1, which is the VPN 512 address of the vManage. So when copying the certs, we're going to be using the VPN 512 addresses, so the management network. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. I do want to accept the key, and I'm going to type in the password, and we should see that it 100% copied successfully. So I'm going to do the same for the second and third device. And now we can see that all the certs were successfully copied. Once again, I'm going to drag this out to the site, and I'm actually going to go on the controllers and orchestrator and install the certificate, the root CA. So I'm going to drag this out. I'm going to bring this back up. And in order to do that, I'm going to type this command in, request root searching install, and then the directory is /home/admin/ and then the file name is ca.crt. You want to go ahead and enter that, and you want to see that it successfully installed the root certificate chain. Alright, so I got it successfully installed on all three of the devices. And what we need to do now is resync the database of the vManage. So I'm going to bring back up my RDP connection. I'm going to open up Firefox right here. And I am going to type this in. We'll close this tab out. You can click on Advanced and then actually go ahead and accept the risk and continue. And then type in the default credentials, which is again lowercase admin, lowercase admin. And we can see that once it says sync root cert chain is done, we can go ahead and actually head into the VPN 512 address of the vManage. So I'm just going to go ahead and just select this part right here and delete it out. So 192, you want to make sure you go to https://192.168.1.1, and it will bring you to this page. So now we are in the main dashboard of the vManage. We need to change some settings before we continue with anything else. To do that, we click on the menu right here. We go down to administration, settings, and what we are going to do is assign it the organization name. We're going to configure the VPN0 address of the vBond, and we are going to upload the CA cert and change it from Cisco to Enterprise. To do that, I'm going to edit the organization name. I'm going to type the organization name I created. I'm going to click on Save to save it. For a vBond, I'm going to click on Edit. I'm going to type the VPN0 address of the vBond. You can refer to the topology just in case you forgot. Then I'm going to click on Save. And then I'm going to click on Controller Certificate Authorization. I'm going to click on Edit, Enterprise Root Certificate, Proceed, select the file, go to the root directory, change this to all files, and then select the CA cert. Double click on it, scroll down a bit, and then import and save. So if you successfully created the cert correctly, it should change it to enterprise right here. Now what we're going to do is we are going to generate the certificate signing requests for each of the controllers. So in order to do that, I'm going to click on the menu right here and then go to configuration. Then under certificates, head to controllers right here on the right. Actually, before I do that, I need to head to devices, sorry, and then to controllers, and I'm going to add the vBond and vSmart using their VPN 0 addresses. So I'm going to click on vBond. I'm going to type in username of admin and admin. And then for the vBond management IP address, I'm going to type in 1.1.1.3 and then click on add. Make sure to uncheck the generate CSR. And same thing with the vSmart. Deselect this and type in 1.1.1.2 to add it. So once again, remember this is VPN 0 address. Then click on add. And if you enter the correct settings, it should show up this page. And now what we are ready to do is actually go ahead and create the certificate signing requests. So actually, before I go ahead and do that, I'm going to change the download settings so we can easily rename the CSRs. So I'm going to open up a new tab. I'm going to click on the menu right here. Then I'm going to click on preferences. I'm going to type in downloads. And I'm going to click on ask where to save files, and then you could go ahead and close out this tab. So to download or to generate the CSRs, you need to go to certificates, controllers, select the vManage first, and I'm going to click on generate CSR certificate signing request, and then click download, save file, okay, and make sure it's called vmanage.csr right here. You want to save it under your root directory. Remember under capital M right here, lowercase v, save, go ahead and close this out. Next thing to do is do it with the vSmart as well. And then finally do it with the vBond, generate CSR. So now what you want to do is you want to make sure all these files are in a root directory. So to do that, I'm going to click on Places, Home Folder. We could see that the CSRs are right here, Certificate Signing Request. And now we are actually going to pull up the terminal and sign the certificate signing requests to make them certs now. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and paste this in. You should see that it should give us this output. Same thing with the second command. You should see that our OU should be the one we typed in exactly earlier. And then finally, the same thing with the vSmart one. And we can go ahead and minimize this for now. We could see that now we have both a CSR and a CRT for each of the controller devices. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. And what we want to now do is actually upload or install the certificates to the controllers. So first I'm going to select the vBond right here. Make sure it's highlighted. Install certificate. Select the file. All files. vBond.crt. Don't click on the CSR, click on the CRT. Click open and install. Now this should give you this output, and you could refresh and it says success. So what you want to do is go ahead and head up. back to under configuration right here, and then certificates, controllers. Then you want to go and select the vSmart now, make sure it's highlighted, install cert, select the file, all files, vsmart.crt, open, install. You can see that it says success. And then finally, the same thing with the last device, which is the vManage. So select the vManage, make sure it's highlighted, install certificate, all files, and then vmanage.crt, install. Refresh this a couple times, and then we should see that it should be successful. So now to verify everything, you want to go down to configuration, then to devices, then to controllers, and we should get this output right here. And what you now want to do is make sure that you set the VPN0 interfaces of the controllers to tunnel interface. So I'm just going to move this out to the side and actually bring back the terminal to all of the devices. So for the vManage, I'm going to type in config t. I'm going to type in VPN0, interface ETH0, and then I'm going to type in tunnel-interface, commit and quit, save. Same thing with vSmart. So config VPN0, interface ETH0, then tunnel-interface, commit and quit. And then very similar with the vBond, so config. The interface is a bit different. It's GE0/0. So VPN0 interface GE0/0, tunnel-interface, and then you want to type in encapsulation IPsec, and then commit and quit. And we should see that the commit is complete. And we can now move this out to the side once again and actually bring back up the RDP connection, and we should see that the device status is in sync now. So now we are actually ready to go ahead and onboard the edges. So now what I'm going to do is just minimize this window, actually move it out to the side, and then double click on the vEdge to bring it up. So open Secure CRT and bring this back up. Actually, right before I do that, I'm actually going to go ahead and restart the Linux server so we can restart the SSH configuration, which we have to make sure is functioning correctly so then we can later onboard the cEdge. So to do that, I'm just going to right click right here, click stop. It's going to close out the RDP connection, give it a few moments, and then right click and hit start. So we're not going to open it up right now. We're actually just going to focus on the vEdge for right now. So I'm going to drag this in. Like the other Viptela devices, login is admin. It wants us to set a initial admin password. I'm just going to do the same thing and use admin. And I'm going to right now drag in the skinny configuration for the device. So for the cEdge, for the vEdge, we're going to do config system. We're going to give it a host name of vEdge, a unique system IP. This one is in site ID 10 right here. The site ID doesn't really matter, but it's just to follow along with the diagram. Remember, same organization name as all the devices. We want to give it the VPN0 address of the vBond. In this case, it's 1113. And then for the VPN0 address or VPN0 interface, right here, I'm using interface GE00. I'm really not using the internet cloud. It's there for illustration purposes. You can go ahead and use it as well, but I'm just going to go ahead and only configure the VPN0 interface using GE00. and the IP address is 10.101/24. And then I'm going to give it a default route, a static default route to 10.10.254, which is the IP address of MPLS Cloud's E0/0. So I'm going to select all of this right here. I'm going to click copy, move this out to the side, bring this window back in, and then right click to paste it all in. I'm going to type in commit and quit, save. We should see that the commit is complete. So now what we need to do is actually bring up the Linux dock container once again, and double click on it, download the RDP connection, connect. I'm going to snap this back up to the top. And what we're going to do now is we're going to grab the cert and actually copy it over to the vEdge. So to do that, I'm going to click on Applications, Accessories, Pluma, Open, and then I'm going to type, or actually click on the ca.crt, so the one we initially created right here. Double click on that. And then I'm going to select all this from the bottom to the top, and then right click and hit copy. And then I'm going to minimize this window right here and move this once again out to the side. I'm going to bring up the vEdge, and the vEdge is actually based on Linux, so I'm going to use vim to actually save the cert. So to get into the Linux shell, I'll type in vshell, and then I'm going to type in for the device vim ca.crt. Now, in order to type something in Vim, I need to hit I on the keyboard once, so the letter I, and then I'm going to right-click everything, or right-click on the screen, so to say. I am going to hit the escape key on the keyboard, then type in colon, W to write, and Q to quit. And then I'm going to see if I successfully wrote it, so I'm going to type in ca.crt. We can see that we have our certificate right here. So now what I'm going to do is actually exit out of the vShell, and I am going to now install the certificate. So to do that, I'm going to type in this command, and right click and paste it. So request root cert chain install, and then I'm going to point to where I save the file. So it's under home, admin, and then the file name. In this case, it's ca.crt, so it's going to install the root cert. It should copy and update and then successfully install. So now we are almost ready to completely onboard the vEdge. I am once again going to drag this to the side. I'm going to pull up my RDP connection once more. And then I am actually going to go now and get the OTP and chassis number that I need to activate the device. So I'm going to open back up Firefox. I am going to, if not already, I'm going to type in this IP address. It's going to land you most likely in this page. And now I'm going to go ahead and upload the serial list. So to do that, I'm going to go to Configuration, then to Devices, and then, the WAN Edge list. To click right here, I'm going to click Validate the uploaded vEdge list and send to controllers. Then I'm going to click on Browse, and I'm actually going to navigate to my C drive through the Google Cloud VM. So to do that, I need to click on Thin Client Drives, C, then Users. I'll click on mine. Then what I'll do is look for the folder I saved my file in, the serial list. Double click on it to open, then click upload, and OK. So one thing to actually remember is that I created this using a different vBond IP address some time ago. So whenever you configure your vBond IP address, you can actually reuse the same file and have a different addressing scheme, but just make sure that your organization name is the same one that you created. So just in case you wanted to change up the lab topology or create your own, you could still use the same serial file. Anyway, so right here it says success for all 3 boxes. Now what I'm going to do is go under configuration, then devices, and we could see that our device models that we specified, so the vEdge Cloud, DNA, and the CSR1KV, denoted by CSR1000V and vEdge Cloud, are here. In my case, I created a room for more devices. Yours might be a bit shorter, but for right now, all we're going to focus on is the vEdge Cloud. So highlighting one of the entries right here, I'm going to click on the menu right here, and I'm going to click on Generate Bootstrap Configuration. I'm going to accept the defaults, and then bringing the terminal back up, or the console connection, I am going to type in on the vEdge request vEdge-cloud activate chassis number. Move this a little to the side. I'm going to copy the UUID, that is the chassis number. Right click copy. Then I'm going to paste. Then type in token. Once again, move this to the side and copy the one-time password or OTP. Copy and paste that in and hit enter. And we should give it a few moments and it should actually start to go ahead and register. Once we have done this, we now need to configure the VPN0 to become a tunnel interface. So in case you forgot what interface you used for the VPN0, I'm going to just type in show run, scroll down a bit, and right here where it says VPN0, type in config VPN0 interface GE0/0, and then tunnel-interface, commit and quit. And actually it prompts us to enter the interface encapsulation. So I need to type in encapsulation, or actually IPsec. Encapsulation IPsec, and then run through and hit commit and quit once again. This should successfully commit, and we need to move this out to the side once again, and we should refresh this a few times, and we see that it might start changing state. And now it says that certificate is installed. So to verify that we are ready to go for configuration of the vEdge, once you actually want to go ahead and configure it, I'm going to type in show control local dash properties, and we could see that the root CA chain status is installed. The cert is installed, it's valid, it gives us a date range, and then we could see that the token number is invalid, which means that this has successfully registered with the controllers. So now I'm going to go ahead and move on and bring up the cEdge now. So I'm going to drag this out once again to the side. Same with the RDP connection. Double click on cEdge to bring it up. And type in the password of admin and admin. Wants us to create a new password. And it will prompt this up now. So I'm going to type in enable to go to enable mode, and then type in config-t for config transaction. Give it a few moments to load up, and it should say that admin connected from 127.0.0.1 to console on router. And now we are ready to go through the skinny configuration for the cEdge. So for the cEdge's skinny configuration, it's a bit different than the vEdge one. So first of all, we're using config transaction to go into config mode, giving it, unique site system IP, different site ID, same organization name as all devices, pointing to the same vBond as all devices. Under interface G1, I'm assigning this IP address, and I'm creating a static default route to the MPLS cloud router. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this and paste it in. It's going to go ahead and commit. It says commit complete. and I'm going to type in actually yes to save the commands or to actually save the configuration. And now we are actually ready to go ahead and register this to the controllers. So I'm going to bring back up our RDP connection. By the way, in the configuration, I'll also be sure to type in logging synchronous under linecon 0 and no IP domain lookup. Anyway, so for CSR 1000V, I'm going to select once again the menu right here, one of the entries for it. Then I'm going to click on generate bootstrap configuration, very similar, except the defaults. I'm going to copy the UUID right here. And then on the, actually, right before we go ahead and finish and do that, we need to copy the CA cert from the Linux Docker container to the cEdge device. So I'm going to type in copy scp://root at 1.1.1.4 space boot flash. I'll of course also have this inscription. Source file name is ca.crt. Destination file name. The password is Eve. Now we will see that it successfully copied the cert. So now I'm going to install the cert. Very similar to the other devices. It's a bit different, but very similar. You can type in, go to the beginning, and request platform software SD-WAN root cert chain install, and then where it's located, boot flash ca.crt. Go ahead and hit enter. It is now up, so now I'm actually going to go ahead and register it. So I'm going to move this out to the side, copy this, bring the cEdge back up, and type in request platform software SD-WAN vEdge cloud, activate chassis number, paste the UUID in, space token, and then we're going to paste in the one-time password. So I'm going to select all this, copy, bring this back up, enter the token, give it a few moments, and then we are now going to configure the tunnel interface. So this is a bit different than the vEdge, but a bit similar in a way. So whenever you create your tunnel interface, you want to do interface tunnel 0, no shutdown. You want to have your IP numbered interface be the same one as your source interface. You want to tell it the tunnel mode is SD-WAN, and same thing with right here. So all three of these interfaces must be the same. I'm using tunnel interface, encapsulation IPsec, color default. And what I'm going to do is go back to the cEdge, type in config, actually config-t. Select all of this right here, Control C, and go ahead and paste it. So the commit is complete, and we should see that the interface tunnel 0 will change state to up. And we could see that now it's starting to register to the controllers. You'll see a lot of dialogue going back and forth and output. So I'm going to type in show SD-WAN control local dash properties. Give it a few moments to load up, and we can we'll give this a few more moments, and we'll actually see that it successfully installs the certificate. So I ran it once more and gave it a few more moments, and it says that the certificate is valid. We have a before and after date, and now we can see that we have for the token is invalid, and now we have successfully brought the cEdge into the SD-WAN network. Now what I'm going to do is once again move this out to the side. You can actually go ahead and close this. Same with the notepad. I'm going to close this out. You can see that the cert is installed, and we can now go ahead and head back to dashboard, then main dashboard, and we should now be able to see that we have 2 WAN edges up, 1 vSmart up, 1 vBond up, 1 vManage up, and we have successfully onboarded all the devices. Before I go, If you wanted to save some money or save some credits and not keep the SD-WAN running 24/7, in order to shut everything down properly, I'm going to close this out right here. I'm going to select all of the devices, right click and stop selected. Give it a few moments till all of the devices switch from this little icon to dark color. I'm going to go ahead and close out this tab. I'm going to bring up a SSH connection either through PuTTY, Secure CRT, or the connection right here. Give it a few moments to load up. In the terminal right here or console, I'm going to go to root privilege mode. I'm going to type in shutdown. Please shut down now to shut down the lab. I'm going to go ahead and hit close. Then I'll wait about 10 seconds or so. Then click on right here to select the VM, and then click on stop. So this will stop the VM instance, and this shouldn't incur any more charges to your Google Cloud Platform account. And just in case you're wondering how much credits you have left, you can go to the navigation menu right here, go under billing, and you can see right here in the right corner how much credits you have left remaining from your $300 credits. That is the end of this video. I hope you very much enjoyed it. I hope you found some useful information out of it. Looking forward to hearing your feedback and any comments, questions, and concerns in the comment section below. Feel free to connect with me, and thank you very much for watching this video series.